Can you scoot over this way a little bit more? Hello.
Hey.
Can you guys hear us? Okay.
Chelsea. Hey, Chelsea.
We are in the shed because it's like the only quiet place we could find in our house. And it was warm out here.
Yeah.
And it's opening day for baseball season, so check this out.
Represent.
Yeah, Seattle or Reds or whatever. Whatever your local baseball team is, we endorse it. Welcome, guys. Amy's here. Julie's here.
Hey.
Airstream as a dream.
Lisa
E. Linda. Everett. Paul.
Gary.
A lot of people. Oh, Gary. Go Pilots. I don't know. Which team is that? Is it like DC or something like that? Go Yankees.
Paul.
March Madness.
Kayla. Linda.
Kelsey. Claire.
Ava.
Welcome, guys.
Yeah, welcome.
Hey, thanks for taking time out of your whatever day this is. Thursday. We got 83 people. That's kind of exciting. So, okay. This is you guys' fault that we have to talk about this because it was the most voted thing on Facebook. Let me find this. That's probably the negative way to start off, but we are talking about homeschooling, and people always want to talk about that. And I guess I get it, but actually I don't get it.
I get it.
Can you explain it to me, please?
I think more when I was cared more about schooling in that certain way, I was really interested in what was other people doing and how are they doing it.
Okay, so Nicole says, and I'm just going to type this into the chat box so you can see what we're talking about here. This is the Facebook comment that you guys voted. Is it not working? Enter. Send. Is it like telling me it's too big or something? Oh, I only have 200 characters.
Oh, no.
It's too big. Okay. This is the thing. I'm curious to know your views on homeschooling, in quotation marks, now that you've changed in some of your beliefs, no rules, and now that you have teens. I've watched older videos where you spoke about taking a year off, etc., and love what you have to say, but also wonder how you approach now with older kids, a possibility of college or trade schools and their school requirements. Okay, so I think a lot of people are interested in homeschooling. A few things to just like kick this off. One is welcome if you're new, if you've never been a part of this, if you're new to the channel, we're glad you're here. I understand this isn't the easiest channel just to like dive into. It can be a bit confusing.
You're Ben.
Yeah.
I'm Cammie.
You're Cammie. With a K, for those of you that weren't here last week. And I think what we're going to do is spend like 30 minutes talking. And for that talking time, if you guys have a question directly related to what we're saying, like at that moment for clarification or a comment about that, then if you could put that in the box, and then we'll probably spend like 15 minutes doing Q&A about this one topic of homeschooling. Yeah. And then we'll spend 15 minutes at the end doing general Q&A. How's that sound? Say good, please. Okay. Hannah says wave or clap. Perfect. Okay. And now homeschooling is a great topic. And I think especially the person that asked this is going a little bit more in depth. So I'm excited about that. But I think the reason why I do dread it is because I feel like people are always just looking for an answer of like the right way. And frankly, like we don't have an answer for you.
Yeah.
And we don't believe in an answer. So all we can really tell you is our experience and the way we think about it.
Yeah.
Oh, I should show this. This is supposed to be in here because Flea brought this in because I think she thought that I'll show you guys a little tour of our shed here.
She said, I got the shed ready for you guys.
Okay, there's our, look at that.
Crazy light.
The Holy Rollers, True Story of Card Counting Christians movie poster over there. We got bikes, Cammie and I's targets, and firewood.
But you got to show the kiddie pool.
Kiddie pool up top. Can I see that?
Can you see that?
Oh, it's kind of in the dark.
Oh,
You're gonna have to imagine that.
pretty cool.
But
Okay.
but now that we put this in here, like we're on set, it feels.
Yeah. Now we're good.
Okay. So Nadia's already asking, do you have a problem you follow for homeschooling?
Program.
Okay, cool. So
right.
let's start. Watching from South Korea,
Whoa.
representing.
That's right.
Hello, annyeonghaseyo. That's my only Korean phrase that I know. That's not true. I know some foods. Okay, so I think we just need to start off by telling the story of our schooling with our kids.
Yeah. So Dove, our oldest, when she was kindergarten age, she went to kindergarten at a public school that was within walking distance of where we lived. And we were kind of just like going to follow that path at that point because we didn't have any problem with public school.
Well,
really,
I had a beef with homeschooling.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Like we were pretty committed to not homeschooling.
We thought homeschoolers were weirdos.
They were weirdos.
And we didn't want to be like them.
It seemed the only reason I knew for homeschooling was sheltering kids from things. And we didn't believe in sheltering. Obviously, you can look at our life now to probably gauge that a bit from either hard things or whatever, moral things.
Yeah.
So because that was the only reason I knew to homeschool, I was like, homeschooling sounds dumb. So we did public school.
And we did that for a whole year. And before that, I should just add that we did the whole preschool thing with Dove and Eden, our two oldest. And so then this is the part you can help me with, but we traveled out here actually.
Because we live in Seattle at the time.
For some church reasons. And while we were out here, you had a conversation with a friend back then.
Yeah, we can probably skip the details, but
okay.
The point was I started to realize that or believe that if we send our kids to public school, it's going to be really hard to expect them to listen to us as the primary influencers in their lives. If we're sending them away for 8 hours of the best hours a day to teachers that I'm sure are great at their jobs or whatever. But if we want that position in their life, if we think that we care about, and because mostly not because we're qualified, but because we care about them the most and because we know them, then it would send a conflicting message by shipping them off. So it was really just based on that.
Yeah.
That it was like really a togetherness thing, almost like a fight for
together. Okay, that was cheesy, but whatever. So I think there was 8, 9, 10, 11, about 5 years, I attempted to homeschool in the way that I thought everyone else was homeschooling.
Oh man. And that was like an
and
absolute
it was kind of hell
disaster for
everyone. I really didn't enjoy it all that much. Cause I was always just worried, oh, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I checking off the boxes? Is this the right curriculum? I mean, we went through like a lot of curriculums in those 5 years. And I just kind of remember always feeling behind, always feeling inadequate.
It was like
a lot of fear. I had a lot of
fear. You know how those people buy workout equipment like every 6 months and never use it just to feel good about themselves? That's how Cami was. Well, I guess it was we.
Oh, yeah.
With homeschool curriculum.
That's a good
So
analogy.
every 3 months, we're spending like $300 on some new curriculum that we never really use just because we're like, oh, maybe this will make us feel good about our kids' education.
Yeah. So then we move out here, and within a few months...
I need to grab my water. You can talk.
Okay. We were pregnant with our 6th kid, and I ended up, he ended up dying, having a stillbirth. And it was in that process. So Ben was like working a ton. He basically just dropped everything, came home, and we spent the next like several months just like hanging out and grieving. And I think it's what was within that period of time that you, Ben, came up with this idea of why don't we just take a year off of school? And I remember.
Well, I had read this book called The Thomas Jefferson Education,
right. Mm-hmm.
and I was rethinking all of work for me because I was making a ton of money at this time, so I kind of like achieved my goal, but it never felt like it was going away, like the pressure. So I was looking back at like why we were educating our kids, and it was all to get them qualified for work. And now like this whole idea of work that I'd subscribed to, I wasn't on board with anymore.
Mm.
So yeah, and you were just feeling so much pressure. It was always pressure. It never felt good enough. We always felt like we were failing our kids.
Oh yeah.
And
and I wasn't able to be present with them. I wasn't able to really enjoy being around them because I constantly just felt this pressure about school. So when Ben proposed that, I remember simultaneously feeling incredibly scared to do that.
Can I pause for a second and just go back? We did a number of versions of homeschooling. We did co-ops. We did it by ourselves.
Right. I forgot. Yeah, there was co-ops.
And some of the co-ops we did, one was called Classical Conversations, which was a classical method, which actually the classical methodology, the trivium, if you've heard of this, it made a lot of sense to me at the time. It broke up the learning cycle into 3 stages, 4 years each. And I was like, oh, this is cool. Mm-hmm. But what we've come to believe about a lot of religious homeschoolers, at least the environments we hung out with, is it was very similar to public school or traditional school, even private schools. It doesn't really matter, in that it was very, very driven and achievement oriented. So it was all about getting kids qualified through this kind of like arbitrary cultural list of what, reading, writing, and arithmetic. But the religious component, it didn't change the way you thought about education. It just added on more components like religion, Latin, fucking debate, all these things, like learn the violin. So it actually created so much more pressure because now your kids didn't just have to measure up in an academic sense with the state, but it had to measure up like compared to all these other kids and in all these moral senses. Mm-hmm. So we were like just hitting these breaking points, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I felt scared, but also really hopeful about taking a year off, but I couldn't even imagine it. I just couldn't imagine it. I thought, well, I thought something really bad would happen, I guess, even though it was really ambiguous. The fear was, and I remember you saying, well, what's the worst thing? What's the worst thing that could happen? Our kids never learn to read. Could be the worst thing. And then we're both like, well, okay.
Yeah, they could graduate high school not knowing how to read.
Yeah. Okay.
And from our perspective, I was like, there's 2 things I know or that I believed at that time. One is that God would still love them.
Yeah.
And the second is that we would still love them.
Yeah.
So if they have enough money, if they're not starving, and if those 2 things are true, and if those are the most important things, at least to us, then we just went from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this year was really fascinating for me. I just kind of remember always having these voices in my head of doubt and fear and worry and not measuring up and anxiety. And I just remember after that year ended, those voices were mostly silent, which was kind of incredible to me because I didn't think they could. But I think it's like I just entered into this other mode of living life that didn't include checking all these boxes in this area.
Now, I want to clarify too, we didn't just sit on our ass this year. We actually got inspired by this book. It was called The Thomas Jefferson Education. And what this book asked this question, if we want to make lifelong learners, not just have kids learn in school. And we think lifelong learning is more important than school learning because the years that you're alive outside of school outnumber
what will serve you better.
The years that you're in school. Mm-hmm. And to a certain degree, school seems to make kids hate learning because it's forced and it's graded. So that's why like kids love summer break, and they almost equivocate that to learning. So,
and they
great.
don't learn what they want to learn. They learn what they're supposed to learn.
We asked this question because of this book. How do you get kids to love learning? And the book helped us conclude there's really only one way. It's for us to love learning and to model that.
Yeah.
You can't force it and be like, hey, you guys should love learning.
But we were both public schooled. And I think a lot of that was schooled out of me, the love of learning. But I still had some of it. And so having that year off, it gave me this mental and emotional space to ask the question, if I could just teach my kids anything, what would it be? And I came up with two main things: history and reading aloud classical books.
So we started doing that, but there's another question I think that we asked, which was almost just as important, which was instead of what do you want to share with them, it was what do you just want to do yourself?
What do you want to learn?
And that's when you started learning guitar.
That's true. Yeah.
And
I started. Yeah.
And I forget. I mean, right around this is when our family started running together. And Cammie and I just started to like do stuff that we loved instead of always putting that on the back burner and trying to focus on the kids was what we called it. But even then it's like still kind of for us because it's checking.
And then
off
I
our
think
boxes.
you and I took a more partnership in their learning, the kids learning. Whereas in the past, it was mostly just kind of like me, like that was delegated to me. And with curriculum stuff. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, because I wasn't interested in following curriculums. I want to follow up on a few comments here. Most importantly, Chelsea says, I need a sticker for my water bottle. Chelsea, I think we have haircuts planned.
Well, no, we're seeing her this weekend. So
there you go. Hit us up then.
Yeah.
Paul says, that's a good book. I'm assuming he's referring to Thomas Jefferson Education. Michael says, school, the first lesson is conformity, not love learning. I actually really believe that. Julie says, as long as you can read, you can learn anything. I actually don't think reading is a requirement to learn the most important things that we care about, but I think reading can be great. Okay, this is a longer comment. Art Knowledge says, government would rather convince you to put your kid on big pharma drugs instead of actually keeping your kid intellectually stimulated. Dang it disappeared. Where'd that go? They don't discover, they just have knowledge taught to them. I don't disagree with that. I don't necessarily feel like it's a conspiracy from the government, but I don't consider myself educated in that area. But none of that stuff would surprise me. Okay, let's keep on going.
Okay.
So then for that year, we started just learning things ourselves. And I think it was really shocking how unshocking it was. Like if we didn't have the government or the internet telling us we were doing a shitty job at schooling by not schooling at all, we would have just been like totally happy as a family. We're like watching the kids. They're like learning and developing and growing and learning new things.
This is also the time where we did the Wonderland Trail. We did it like 5 times. That's a trail that goes around Mount Rainier, 94 miles. That's kind of interesting. I just think we just had like more space just to think about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like what adventures do we want to take?
And also in this time period, I'm doing a lot of business meetings, like hiring, firing people. And I'm taking my kids to all these meetings that they want to come to. Like I just kind of had a rule of thumb that I'd never go to a meeting alone. So my kids were flying with me across the country to every business meeting I just took a kid to. And they just like were with me. And we would talk about it or not. So there was that. And are we ready to talk about the next stage? It's kind of our dirty little secret that we've let a few of you guys know in passing, but we never like started school again.
We got off that bandwagon.
We were just like, hey, we like this and we don't care. And I don't know. That's like, so we've never touched a homeschool curriculum since then?
Except for the how to 100 easy lessons of reading or whatever it's called.
Okay.
And then when I wanted to teach them history, there was a curriculum I kind of used, but Yeah, really, really nothing. I mean,
we've put together some curriculums about teaching them about social media and about sex ed and business, like entrepreneurial stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's been great.
Someone's asking, what about math, Julie? That's kind of funny because...
she just retracted it.
Oh, well.
Too late. We saw it. What about
It's funny you ask because Ben's mom is all about math. She thinks they absolutely should know everything about it. But I think it's cool. They get to spend time with her. And so that we don't force them to do that. So it's our kids' own choice. So a few of our kids do math with their grandma.
So Jesse is asking, forgive my ignorance, can anyone answer, at the end of homeschooling, is there a test to prove they are ready to graduate? So no, there is no test, except for there's a GED test, which provides an equivalency high school diploma, supposedly. Although not all colleges will actually see it as an equivalent.
Yeah.
But in the government's eyes, it is an equivalent. Mm-hmm. But I don't have any pressure on my kids to do it. To me, it's completely optional if they want to do that. I got a diploma from high school that I never used, and I got a GED. So I'm a double achiever.
Why did you do that?
I think I was doing some independent study program, and I got like high school credit for taking the GED.
Oh, funny. Okay. Wow, you are an overachiever.
Now, I guess I want to come out and say, and this is where we're going to like really transition this in the next 7 minutes, because I want to leave plenty of time to read you guys' questions. So if you're new here to the live stream, welcome. The numbers are growing. We're going to answer questions at the halfway point in 7 more minutes. So I guess what I want to say is this, is we acknowledge that on some level, our kids are going to be disadvantaged. I think public school or any school system trains people to go out and get a job. Yeah. And it does that really well through, I forget whose comment was early on that I read. I think it was Michael who said that it trains people for conformity. Public school or any school system trains people how to submit to authority and to follow directions and to show up on time and to kind of like not be too creative, like,
which all of those can be useful things. It just feels really unbalanced to me as far as like...
Yeah, that's what a lot of having and maintaining a job for 40 years requires.
You need that. You need that.
And while I want my kids to have access to that, if that's what they desire, it's not the primary job of what we think education should be. And we want to afford our kids what I would say are equivalent skill sets, but they're going to mean that they're going to kind of possibly make their money in other more entrepreneurial ways, not as traditional ways. And yeah, that's basically that. Mm-hmm. So I wrote down 4 things as I was thinking about this time that I think are really important that we're teaching our kids at home that are like, I guess like, I don't want to say non-negotiables because now there's no rules in 2019, like everything's negotiable. They're the things that I care about the most. Mm-hmm. And I know people are asking things like, well, what about math, or what about English, or what about history? To me, it's like, what about it? Like, I don't feel like I use history right now. I enjoy studying it, but it doesn't like, I don't need it every day.
Ben really likes Braveheart and Schindler's List.
I love Braveheart and Gladiator. So history. But these things, I'm like, man, if we're gonna, as teachers or parents or authority figures or whatever you want to call it, if we have a choice, like this is what I want our kids to learn. So number 1 is how to learn. So for the rest of my life, I want my kids to know like, hey, learning's pretty cool. Like getting new information and new perspectives on things, and that it's valuable. And I think our kids can learn that. But school, ironically, doesn't teach that. It teaches them like what to learn, but it doesn't teach them how to be self-motivated in learning. Maybe that's what I was thinking.
Because I think in learning, like to really dig deep in learning, you know, you're going to hit some bumps along the way and feel like, but to be able to keep going with that. I mean, I can think of like learning an instrument, like for me with guitar, like I definitely felt not motivated at times, but you just keep going.
Okay. Aya just got here. Hello, Aya. Welcome. And Jeff says, I would love to know more about your work business. That's a very complicated question, but it's not much. We're living off of savings, and I consider myself retired at this point. But actually, in a vlog coming out, we're going to be talking about some new plans we have involving this vlog for business, specifically being motivated by actually this very topic right now with our kids. Mm-hmm. But we got 4 more minutes before we're going to start answering questions.
So second thing.
Number 2 that I want my kids to know, number 1 is how to learn. Number 2 is how to maintain relationships. And I would say with people of all ages.
All backgrounds.
Yeah, I thought about getting into that, but
okay.
For now, I'm just going to keep it simple with all ages.
Yeah, okay.
Which means I want my kids to be able to maintain conversations with grandparents and 80-year-olds, and with 3-year-olds, and with their own peer group, and with their parents. And relationships are hard. They're complicated. They're confusing.
With their siblings.
I mean, Cammie and I, we didn't vlog today because of this live stream, but we went to therapy today, and we learned a couple things for $260 and an hour and a half of our time. But that shows how committed we are to still learning about our relationships, because at the end of the day, I think everything on this planet is about relationships. And that's where we get this whole like fight for together thing is like, it's easy to get confused and think it's about money or jobs, but money and jobs, it's all people, always. You're making things for people so that you can get money to feed people, so that you can live with people, so that you can work for people and alongside people and next to people and hang out with people.
And anything you create for people.
Yes. So relationships, I don't think they're natural. They're like, it's just always intuitive. I think it takes work, and that's why we do this channel and call it that. But I think we can teach that and model that.
Yeah.
Okay. The third thing is, so it's how to learn, how to maintain relationships, how to do hard things. So I think some hard things, school is good for learning. It teaches you like how to stay up late and turn in assignments, and how to, do work that you don't want to do, and go through kind of like tedious stuff, and also go through big complex projects, and, write these multi-page essays. I remember hating that kind of stuff, but I learned it was good for me at times. And that's, for us to do the AT and all these like.
Well, I know for me, waking up early for 12 years of my life, and then, that's hard. That's part of it.
Okay, Joe's asking this question about the family meeting. Joe, could you save that question for a little bit later? Because I actually really want to answer all that stuff. We just need to finish this last one.
Number 4.
Number 4 is how to create value. So it's amazing to me how much emphasis there is on making money, working, showing up to work, turning in assignments, but yet that's not the same thing as creating value. And as an entrepreneur, I learned, and maybe it was why I was drawn to being an entrepreneur, is that if you want to make money as an entrepreneur, you have to know how to create value. You have to know what's either going to help people or give them what they want or make their life easier or better in some way. And if you can do that, if our kids know how to identify that and aren't afraid of working hard to get that or to learning how to do that, I think they'll be fine financially for the rest of their lives. But in our experience, school, and when I say school, I'm not saying public school. I'm saying schooling the way it's done, like most homeschooling even, and most public schooling or private schooling, it doesn't focus on that. It focuses on following directions. And following directions doesn't necessarily create value. I mean, it creates a good employee.
Which creates value for someone.
Yeah. I'm not saying those are bad things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think of like the person that works at Arby's, and they're kind, they're an employee that's kind to people. I think that is a way of creating value too. So.
Oh, absolutely. And you guys, we're really, one of the other reasons why I don't like talking about this stuff is we're not trying to shit on people that are doing public school or homeschool or classical conversations or private school. It's so complicated, like why you do this. And we have unique feelings about this and unique passions and unique abilities. So that's why we do it. And we believe in it 110% for us. But I'm not trying to schlep off these, on everyone.
Yeah.
I do think there are good conversations that everyone can value from in this area. So
What is that?
Off topic. Would you ever do a mukbang?
Is that a Korean thing? Because
It actually started in Korea. It's those
What is
videos
that?
where they film people eating those massive quantities of food. Remember those black people eating this crab?
Oh, that's what that is?
Yeah, you want to do that? That was
There
us.
are white people too.
That was
but-
us tonight with queso cheese before the live stream.
Yep.
Okay, we're opening this for questions, and for 15 minutes, let's keep questions related to education and I'll say work, please. So we're going to catch up on some of these comments,
And then we'll do the last 15 minutes miscellaneous questions.
Okay, Joe says, I'm just going to back to that question, Joe. Was wondering if you had a vlog on the family meeting and how that meeting goes and what is discussed. Okay, I'm not going to answer that yet because
we're supposed to have one tonight. Is that what we're talking about? That family
yeah,
meeting?
that's what he's talking about, I think. But I want to talk about the kids' goals meeting because I think that's more related to this topic that we're talking about tonight.
Okay. Yeah.
So once a week, and this isn't working out very well right now. You guys?
Eden, our 16-year-old's in charge of it, and she's really good at making it happen, but not everyone is.
But I think it will work.
attending.
I think it just needs some work.
Maybe some incentivization or something, or how do you motivate people?
I think it needs more structure. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe.
But in this meeting, each kid shares what they're working on for that week and what their goals are.
And I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have a similar meeting that I do with another group, so I haven't really been prioritizing the kid one. And I think that might be part of the problem. I'm not sure. But it's just kind of an open forum because while we're not saying, hey, you need to do chapters 3 and 4 of the math book this week, we do want to give kids tools to be able to succeed in growth and learning, which doesn't happen necessarily naturally.
Mm-hmm.
And social dynamics is one of the ways to do that. So, okay.
Yeah.
Linda says, I hated getting the kids up early. Us too. Michael says, consider critical thinking and problem solving, although that is part of creating value. Yeah, I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
People are talking about Waldorf, which I have heard about, and I wouldn't be surprised if I'm a fan. We just haven't really explored private school models, more for the relationship component. Emily says, do any of your kids want to go to college? Eden, a few have expressed interest, and I would support it financially, I think, if it's for a reason that they know of, versus like I'm not interested.
Versus like finding them. Themselves.
Like if they want to be a nurse and they want to get a nursing degree, I would pay for that. I don't know what your stance is.
No, I think I would too. I would too.
But I don't think it's just a good baseline hoop to jump through or general foundation that just helps you get a job and pay off the college. That math doesn't add up to me. Rivard says, I know Dev has talked about being behind. Are you guys doing things with her to make her feel more confident? Yeah, but it might not be what you think. I would say that the biggest thing that I've found about that is every single person I know feels behind in some aspect in life. We feel like we should have had more money by now, or like don't have as much stuff as our neighbors, or we wish that we had more free time, or we wish we had more money, or this and that. And I feel that way now. I mean, I'm supposed to be writing 3 books this year, and I feel behind on that. I feel like I wanted to have this new uploaded software for this live stream to go smoother so we can show the chat window on the actual screen. Everything feels behind to me all the time. So
I think kind of what you're saying, it's actually a really deep issue with people. I mean, I think we have been working with her to meet her goals, but I also think it's kind of one of those things where you grow and learn how to hopefully feel less behind along the way.
Yeah, so it's more about accepting reality.
Yeah, and just being able to deal with worry.
Okay, Jade asks, do you have lessons for the kids on writing skills? No. I've noticed 20, where that, dang it, always scrolls. I've noticed 20 some year olds today can't even write a proper email, grammar, etc. I have very little emphasis on grammar. We don't emphasize that at all. And I don't emphasize proper emails. What we do emphasize is effective communication. So that's what we're learning here. I mean, I don't know if my grammar is proper or not, but and we use like bad words, but we use whatever we think is going to help you guys on that end. And I think our kids are learning that just from being around. I mean, like you've seen them talk to the camera, so I guess you would know but we don't like sit them down in front of books. Of course, it did come up. There's what is it? Art style of writing, Strunk's grammar book. Like, because we were writing Facebook status updates or Instagram status updates. Like I was teaching Dove. So I had her read some of this book because I was like, this is going to help you write better Instagram updates. Okay. Because it talks about eliminating like unnecessary words and just saying it and stuff. So
yeah.
Misa says, my 7-year-old is watching. Hi from Male. Is that a word? Plant-based family says hi.
Nadia says, I love how you use your kids' talents to give them jobs to contribute to the family. Yeah, thanks.
I think, this is one of our core beliefs is there's like so much training. Like there's all this like anti-education stuff written about this. So I feel like I'm slaughtering it. But if you were to teach someone how to be a plumber, like, would you send them to school for 12 years to like learn reading, writing, and arithmetic, and then send them to another school for 4 years where they learn about plumbing, but they never touch a piece of pipe? And then you send them to a plumber where now they touch pipe. Like, the question I would ask is, how early can you get pipe in their hands if they're going to be a plumber?
It just seems like a lot of time wasted.
So if our kids are going to be creating value, I don't want to talk about creating value or them creating value. I want them to be creating value like this week. And I'm talking my 7-year-old and my 12-year-old and Eden. Like they have Instagram, they have this vlog, they have video cameras, they have phones. Like I think they can create value this week and we can talk to them about that. And that's like, for us, that's like the best school. Yeah. Oh, it's a Hawaiian name.
Oh.
Okay. Man, are you in Hawaii? I just telling Cammie, like, I want to be in Hawaii. I think I'd be happier right now if I was in Hawaii. Okay. Sorry, just reading some comments. Oh, okay. Yael says, I'm the oldest of 6 kids who are still in school, and we don't get along because our parents are going through a divorce. That sounds tough. Sorry. What is your advice on getting us kids to bond with and support each other?
Oh,
wow. Well, I'm just going to use our most recent example of the Appalachian Trail, although I think that's a kind of extreme, but there's a mindset there, which is when you have to solve a problem that's bigger than what one person can solve on their own, we notice that brings people together. So with a lot of families, the goal is just like survival. And that's not a very exciting goal for me in America because survival's easy. You can just like go to the store and buy food. So we have to come up with better goals. So, I don't know if you have any ideas of something like a project you can ask your siblings if people want to buy into something and do it together. That's an idea, but that sounds really tough, especially as a fellow child. Like, I think that's kind of what we see our job as parents to do. Yeah. Michael says college is not a good return on investment anymore. That's where I stand also. Okay. Where
do we go?
I don't know.
Okay. There we go.
Lizzie says, do the children learn year round or do they also have breaks like normal school? Well, I don't know if you missed the first part of the conversation, but there's no breaks because there's no thing. Like the whole year is a break or the whole year is learning. We don't differentiate. But like if you see the vlog, we did, the Appalachian Trail. And then we took 3 months off of that just because we were like burned out from that. So in a way that was a break, I guess, but it was just because we felt like it was an appropriate thing for us having just hiked our asses off for 6 months and producing a ton of content.
Okay. So Sophia asked, do any of your kids want to go to school? There's been a few of them that have talked about it at different times, but no one really wanted to pull the trigger yet. And if they really wanted to go to school, I think we would let them.
Yeah.
We have a high school like right behind us.
Okay, so this is interesting, I think. Kara says, do the kids still feel they can access life lessons from the AT, or are those fading, losing their effectiveness or impact? I really like that question because this type of stuff used to kind of plague me or concern me, but I don't really see it that way anymore. I think we all saw things on the AT that we can't unsee.
That's kind of shaped who we are.
Yeah, and the way we'll forever see the world. Mm-hmm. I mean, not like forever, like, oh, I'm always thankful for electricity. Like it's not the same feeling, but my kids saw something that they were capable of that now they just always know they're capable of. Mm-hmm. And they saw a side of humanity that they forever, I mean, you can't like not learn this, I think, in a way. Like, so the way that they, like, for example, when we went back to the AT and all these videos you guys are watching now of our current vlogs, mm-hmm. the way that they saw these hikers, we didn't have to remind them or tell them. The way
that they just stepped up and cooked with us and really like did a lot of hard work, I was amazed by.
Ava says, your family reminds me of the movie Captain Fantastic. We saw that and it like struck really close to home. And I actually could relate to a lot of that. And I've felt that too. There's another documentary out there too called Surfwise, where I really could relate to the dad, which there were some negative things too. There is always with that type of free thinking and drivenness.
Yeah.
Okay. Is foreign language an option for the children to learn about? Asked Lizzie. Yeah, we were learning Hebrew as a family, 5 days a week?
A year and a half ago.
Before the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah. And then Eden's been learning some Korean from her grandma.
How do I get 50 pounds of M&Ms to Rainier? Can't if I'm buying clubs. No.
My gosh. No, thank you.
Does Dove still have an interest in photography after visiting that photographer? Yeah, she has an Instagram account and she takes a lot of pictures and she loves it. And we got her a nice camera for Christmas and she's been using that. And she's even got paid by some people to do portraits and stuff. Oh, yeah, Chelsea was on here, but she did Chelsea's portraits.
Yeah.
Beth says, what is the biggest lesson you hope your kids take away from what you teach them over their school years?
Oh, okay.
I feel like these are the 4 things we already talked about.
Yeah.
So if you are late, you can go back and watch those, but it's just a reiteration of that.
My Lee. Miso says, we're like male. My Lee. Okay.
Michael says, and teach them it's okay to make mistakes as they create value. Yes. That is so important. That's why,
big. I mean, a lot of people will give up.
And that's what I love about this vlog. Like, in a way, every vlog is a mistake in that it's not perfect. It's not a masterpiece. And we had to get really comfortable with just putting them out into the world on a deadline the way they were at the end of the day and just be like, okay, if we're going to make it better, we're going to work on the next one. And that really helped me get used to making mistakes. Okay. I would like to transition now to open Q&A. It's 9:15 our time, and we got 15 minutes just to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about or say.
Regina says, absolutely serious. I watch Rainier's song from day 81 and laugh my ass off every time.
I wonder what song that is.
It's really funny.
Mark says, your no rules rule. It doesn't mean no responsibility. To maintain a household, everyone on board has responsibility. Yeah, and you know what the biggest thing about getting rid of rules is if they're going to be in relationship, they still have to learn how to respect each other. Otherwise, they're going to be hated by each other. So while it's not being couched as a rule, like what we found out with rules are, if like, if we're a kid, we could be like, and I poke you and you'd be like, hey, the rule says no poking. Or like, okay, Don't poke. So you're like pointing at the rule. But as adults, we don't have that rule. That's like no poking. How do you think we got 6 kids? So if Cami does something, I have to use other mechanisms to say, hey, it hurt my feelings. I don't like this. And all that stuff seems like a pain in the ass, but it's actually what they're going to be using to engage in relationships for the rest of their life anyways. So the rules were actually cutting short that process at a certain point. Now, I'm not saying that rules don't have their place, of course.
Yeah.
Did you like Connecticut on the AT? I live there. So I guess you have to say yes, huh? I don't even remember Connecticut. Sorry.
I remember it. Oh, we had those empanadas for most people.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Right when we were entering it.
Love Connecticut. Focused Mindfulness says, I saw a TED Talk about how being successful in life and school is grit. Grit being teaching kids to not give up. You did a great job on that with the AT. Do you have another way to teach grit, Lisa? Another way?
Marathons.
Yeah. I mean, we do a lot of things.
Running.
Before the AT, we were lifting weights 3 days a week and running 3 days a week. And a lot of people, I think we're obsessed with like fitness, but we're actually not. I don't care about physique that much, or even I don't even really enjoy running per se. Like I don't consider myself a runner. But those were some of the best ways for us as a family to learn some of these things.
Yeah.
And to experience our city and get exercise. Chelsea says, Dove is incredible at photography.
Oh. Okay. Your questions are coming in.
Jana asks, hey guys, need some cigar recommendations. Love watching your vlogs. Okay, you are so in luck, Jana, because on Monday, I believe, we have an entire cigar vlog, but actually, I think I totally forgot to put recommendations. We like Drew Estate cigars, which oftentimes are like flavored or a little bit sweet, and people look down on that in the cigar world, but life is too short to smoke cigars you don't like. So if you're looking for cigar recommendations, I would recommend the Drew Estate Natural line, which actually just got changed to La Rotan, which is just natural spelled backwards because they didn't want to get sued for not actually being natural. Where do you guys live? We live in Bellevue, Kentucky, which is 2 miles from downtown Cincinnati, Ohio. Gary White says, could you tell by looking at the thru hiker who had a better chance of finishing? Gary, did you see my latest video? I think you did, because I think you commented on it not
by looking at someone, but I guess if you
I'd have to talk to him.
Yeah, I think you'd have to kind of talk to him for a little bit, and even then it was a tough one. That's a tough one to figure out.
Ameliorated asks, do you regret putting your videos up during the AT? If you had scheduled them up for after, you wouldn't have had the child protection ways. Absolutely not. I don't regret it at all.
Yeah.
So much good came out of it, and it was so much fun and so valuable for us. There was a few pain in the ass moments, but it was so worth it. And at the end of the day, CPS was not that big of a deal for us.
Yeah, we had like a few days or a week there that was really tough with it, and then after that, we kind of felt left alone, which we liked. Stan the man.
Oh, this is a great question, Stan. And Stan, for those of you guys that remember, is the man that bought us ice cream in New York. And he was on the first live stream, our goodbye live stream, where we said goodbye. And that's when he offered to buy us ice cream in New York. And then he slack packed us for 3 days. Those are good
awesome.
times. Asks, are you really a Mariners fan or just like the shirt? Okay, I don't care about baseball at all. And I don't care about the Mariners.
Full disclosure.
So I do like the shirt, but it was very nostalgic for me from my childhood. I grew up in Seattle. I collected baseball cards. I had like 4 Ken Griffey Jr. rookie cards and about 50 Ken Griffey Jr. cards. So this is a Griffey jersey. So I don't consider myself like a legit fan to this day, but there's a lot of memories for why I bought the shirt. Megan asks, what does fight for together mean?
Oh, I think to us, it means that life is kind of tough to want to stay in relationship with other people. And it's a fight. There's a lot of things that kind of get in the way of it. And so we realize you have to be intentional about wanting to stay together, stay connected in your relationships.
Fun fact, I don't know if you guys know this. That's my fist, a picture of it, and that's Felia's fist, a picture of it.
From a few years ago, yeah.
Do you guys want to travel?
Yeah, but I don't really have. Well, Ben wants to go to Hawaii apparently. I do want to travel. We're going to Seattle this summer. I mean, but I'm content at home too. Like, so both.
Chelsea says, from mixed race kid, what's it like raising mixed kids? I don't consider myself mixed, or that's not true. I don't see myself as mixed, although I'm half Korean. It doesn't even think about it. So
it doesn't even, you don't think about it.
I don't think about it.
Okay.
And I've never heard our kids mention it, and it's not an issue to us. So it doesn't feel different to me. Would you be proud of your children no matter their path in adulthood? Proud is a weird word for me right now. I think so. I don't even know what that means anymore. Like, I love them and I want to respect them no matter what. I
think for me, I don't know if you're done.
I'm done.
I think for me, I want to get to a point where I am proud of them, but there may be points in time where my expectations aren't met and I have to deal with my disappointments. But I hope I can get over those and be able to actually just truly accept them.
Yeah, I think the acceptance is more the key. But to me, like pride, the problem with pride or being proud of them, it kind of means that there's an opposite of it, like disappointed. I don't want to be disappointed with them. I just don't want it to have to be based upon their path either way. So I guess to not dodge your question, yes, I'd be proud of them. I don't know why that was so hard for an answer, but
yeah. Where are the cigars? I don't know, Joe. Where are the cigars?
We smoked them right before this, actually. And I was going to smoke one here because I was like, oh, this is the shed. This is perfect. But there's like so much going on with freaking.
I have like a cold, so I actually surprisingly don't even really want to smoke a cigar, which is kind of weird.
You were smoking a cigar 45 minutes ago.
It was a little one, and you offered it to me. And I couldn't say no, but
I feel like you're making it sound as you're like being super
true
something.
Okay.
What is next for the family? I think we're writing these books right now. This is Randy's question, and we're gonna travel to Washington for a month, and we were gonna do a through hike this summer, but we decided it was too soon, especially with the books. So we're not ready for that.
Yeah.
Gaelic asked this and some other thing. Cami, is there a girls' night in the books like Ben does with the guys?
When Ben smokes with his buddies, I actually smoke with a friend of mine, same night. So that's my girls' night, I guess. Where are we?
Okay.
George, cigars do not suck.
Okay, so we're skipping some, but Stan the Man asks, would you ever consider going back to Katahdin with the family when Rainier is old enough to go to the peak? A lot of people ask that, and I think I'm going to make an entire video about how we view that whole Indian thing, but I have no desire to go back.
The only reason I would go back is I actually have a friend who, for some reason, she almost every year I think they rent out a cabin at Baxter State Park. So I like her. So if I could see myself if I ever hung out with her at Baxter State Park, maybe I would hike up Katahdin.
All right, you might be on your own with that one. And it doesn't feel incomplete to us, the Appalachian Trail. We got everything out of it that we wanted to do and are just like done.
Yeah.
Not to say we wouldn't do the Appalachian Trail again, but it doesn't feel like this open-ended thing.
Jesse says, Cami, I'm halfway through Come As You Are. Thank you so much for the recommendation. I just finished that book. It's a good book.
Okay, Running on Insulin says acid cold infusion tea cigars are amazing if you like flavored cigars. Yeah, I've had a box of those.
Oh, yeah.
That's the yellow label. Gary says, oh, by the way, congrats on 30K.
Thank you.
We crossed like 30K today. And it's like, I know I'm supposed to be excited and each number is a person, but it's like, I didn't even like really feel it in my heart to celebrate 20K, but we did anyways.
Yeah.
So this is the official 30K celebration. So thank you, Gary, for remembering our special day. Techie and Herb says, will you ever meet back up with the degenerates? I hope so. We invited them to this trail magic thing, but scheduling wise, like it's just really hard with people all over the globe. And I don't know what it's going to take, but I would love to see that happen.
Yeah.
How do you handle smoking with your children? You got to wait for Monday's vlog where we talk about all the health things about that.
Oh, wow. Bella says, I'm hoping to hike the AT next year when I'm 16. Do you think this is feasible? And do you have any advice?
Heck yeah, it's feasible.
I think it's feasible.
I mean, depends what you think is feasible.
I mean, is it just your age? I think 16-year-olds can do hard things.
Yeah. You'd have to get to know some folks.
Yeah.
Karen asks, did you get the younger kids running? How many miles did you start with them? And when did you move them up?
I think at least with Falia, she was 5 when she actually expressed interest in running, because we went running without her. She would stay with her grandparents who live right behind us. And then one day I really want to go.
It was 3 years ago.
Really
was her first
go.
time she came on the run.
And I think we did 4 miles and she was able to do that. And yeah.
When they couldn't run, we just had them walk.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Home boom shaka laka boom says, not a question, but I really appreciate your candor and self-reflection. Sub for life. Okay. Thank you, but we're not going to hold you to that subscription for life. If it ever starts being boring or uninteresting to you, unsubscribe that shit and free up your life for something else. Don't feel obligated.
We're okay
Just
with 29,999 subscribers.
We dip down below 30. Okay. Linda says we love Seattle. Oh, Aya says, would you have more kids? We talk about that all the time.
We're open to it. No, I'll just leave that there.
Really?
What?
You're just leaving it there?
Yeah.
This is a live stream. All these people
what
are taking.
What else am I supposed to say?
You could say we're not using birth control all the time. We think we could get pregnant.
Okay, we don't use birth control, but I have had thoughts of maybe I should be on birth control. But I can't motivate myself to get on birth control. So.
I think that's what people are really asking when they're saying, would you have more kids?
Yeah. Because I actually, I would love another one, but then at the same time, I'm like, oh, that would be kind of nice to be done. So that's where I'm at.
This is a fascinating comment. Regina says, drives me nuts. You guys read all these other books and try to live their way when you guys and your own uniqueness should make your own way. I'm not sure what you mean by live their way. The thing that I think is the most valuable about reading books for me is that it shows me the world from someone else's perspective. And I think that there's a lot of true perspectives or ways to see the world. I can see from one vantage point, but there's other people from other vantage points. And I think that the more I can see from other vantage points, the more helpful it is to have compassion and to understand how big the world and how big I consider God to be. So that's why I read other books, but it's been a while for me. I don't really feel a pressure to follow just what other people say to do in their book. In fact, that's the kind of book I don't trust, is a book that tells you how to live. Okay. We're kind of at the end of our time now. Let me see. I just don't want to miss a good question. You know how that is. So let me see. Okay. I'm not taking any new questions. Well, I don't want to commit to that. Oh yeah. Regina says, I was referencing your no rules after reading a book you guys had set. Okay. That book does not suggest not doing any rules. No. And this is something that was kind of like a work in progress for us to get to a point where we actually believe that going with no rules would be productive for our family for a season, a long time.
And I think that was an evolution of our own growth, not just because we read a book.
What else is there? I'm just scrolling through a few more. What are your thoughts on the Continental Divide? Asks Madison.
Miso asks PCT.
I would say that would be like the last of my Triple Crown priorities. And
yeah,
no hate, but we're also from West Coast, and I've thought about doing the PCT for a long time. So I think that would be one of the next through hikes that we would do next. Pamela says, if you ever come to Australia, I'd love to host you. Okay, here's the thing about people offering to host us. I will take you up on it, but I will not remember. So if you ever hear in the future, we're not going to write it down. But if we ever say we're going someplace, don't feel afraid to reach out and say that then.
Right.
But I appreciate the offer, but in order for it to actually happen, you're going to have to remind us. This person's already, Pepe says you guys look tired, maybe.
I have a cold.
Okay, done. Says, what's your advice to kids who don't know what they want to be and don't know how to find it? My advice is to do things that you want to now.
Yeah, what are your passions? What are you good at? You don't have to be good at it, and then kind of run with it. And then maybe ask people around you. Sometimes people around you know a thing or two if you trust their advice.
Have you guys seen Mr. Beast? He's like the fastest growing YouTuber now. He started making videos when he was 12. I know. And he's killing it now. But he made videos for like 8 years. Most of his videos were made in his like teenage years, from the ages of 13 to 19, while everyone else was out there.
And he was obscure then.
Screwing around. He was
famous.
Grinding out Minecraft videos for an audience of like 100 people. I love that story. Casey Neistat just did an interview with him yesterday. Running on Insulin says, if you guys have one book you recommend reading, which would it be?
The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Hey, don't diss on my recommendation. You can have yours. I asked. That book is amazing.
That book is like for such a specific. How can you recommend that not knowing anything about her?
Because I recommended it because, well, okay. Yeah, that's a good point, but that's a book that I love.
I'd have to know what you want.
Yeah.
Or what you like.
Yeah.
Before.
That's
like what you want to accomplish before I recommend you a book.
Mm-hmm.
We have books that we like, but I don't feel comfortable recommending them unless I know that. Okay. Sir Harn says, I read online that Ben earned a fortune from an online gambling business. How do you justify it to yourself or to your kids that the money you earned could be money that broke families and lives? That's a good question. Because it didn't. I made a significant amount of money for a number of years playing the game of blackjack. And that was money that we took from the casino. But it's not like poker where you're playing other players. So, in a real way, like we cost casinos millions of dollars by our existence. So I would like to think not only did I not contribute to other families losing money, but we took $7 to $10 million out of casino revenue that would have gone towards advertising and targeting other gamblers. There's, of course, a long version of that story, but that's a short version.
Mm-hmm.
But that was actually really important because I hate casinos and I hate gambling. Okay.
Did Dove do the opening credits? Yes. The drawing. She did. Yep.
I think we're wrapping up now.
Yeah, I think so.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you for joining us.
Last question of the night, because I'm addicted. Gary says, what was the biggest hit food at your Trail Magic? Those corn dogs looked epic. I'm a couple of weeks away from doing my PCT Trail Magic. Always looking for new ideas. Oh, where are you going on the PCT? What was the biggest hit?
It was probably the corn dogs. I think. Beer. There was a few people that were like, "You have beer?" And it's like 11 a.m. And we're like, "Here you go."
People made a big deal on the corn dogs. People have always made a big deal on the corn dogs. Like, we do it at home. And if you can ever do it at home, I'm just telling you guys, people love it. Because it's a comfort food.
It's not like the corn dogs you eat from the store. Very different.
And everyone had them when they were a kid, but adults can't enjoy them because they feel like they're
crappy food.
Well, yeah, and they feel like it's a kid food.
Yeah.
So it feels like we're above them. Yeah. But when you get a homemade corn dog and you can actually justify eating it, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
But you guys know how hikers are. That was one of the fun things about this Trail Magic videos was you can give a hiker anything and they're blown away by it. So it's just like the coolest thing to give them, Kool-Aid.
It is.
I don't know if we showed it in the video, but one of the European guys, we gave him Kool-Aid and he was like, "Oh, is that the big jar that busts through the wall?" That was like all he had never had Kool-Aid, and that was all he knew about Kool-Aid.
So
it was
yep, that's the one.
That's the one. Stan the Man asks recipe for the corn dogs. Okay, type into the Google Pioneer Woman corn dogs. And that's the loose recipe that I follow. I use all beef corn dogs from Costco, and I also add my own frozen corn. Those are the variations that I make. And I didn't measure. But besides that, it's like pancake mix, cornmeal, water, eggs, give or take. So, okay, guys. It's cool reading all your comments. I wish we had more time to read them. I wish we had time to hear you guys' side of the story more and sit around a fire and drink beers and eat corn dogs. But we're going to have to settle for this for now.
Yep.
Thank you guys for being a part of this tonight and taking time away from your thing to plan this and to type out questions and click the little like button. I'm not saying to do it. I'm just saying 46 of you have done it, which is cool. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
Yeah. Good night, guys.
Goodbye.
Bye.